Hey authors, it's Melody here. Welcome to Author Nation, your go-to resource for everything to be a successful nonfiction author, from planning right through to promotion and everything in between. Today, here we are with Michael Tramner, author of Satori Ananda. Hi Michael, how are you today?
I am decent. I am decent. I am fully immersed in the author's journey. But happy to be here with you, Melody, and for the viewers watching. Grateful for this opportunity.
Good. You have to be careful when you say something to me like I'm decent, because I'm going to what do you mean you're decent? What does that mean, Michael?
I've had better days, not going to lie to you. Had better days and weeks and months.
I'm a decent human being. I'm dressed decently. I'm feeling decent today.
Definitely feeling decent.
Feeling decent today. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. I'm really excited to talk about your book, Satori Ananda. And I know that this book, the whole book journey, the book idea started after a major life event that affected you greatly. Could you just start by telling us a little bit about what the instinct was, or what the catalyst was to write the book?
Yeah, it all happened really 3 years ago this month. Actually, we're in October right now in Vancouver, and life was going on as planned. I had an engineering job. I was in a relationship. We had been married for 6 years, together for 12. We got together right after the university, and we'd had a rough summer. Some distance had grown, but I just thought it was a phase and something that we were gonna get over, and I had no idea what was coming. And what was coming was a couple weeks later, in early November. Actually, I was actually away on a trip in California for work, and when I came back, I remember coming through the front door of the condo here, and I remember just putting my hand on that doorknob and opening the door. And the first vision I had was my wife had put herself to sleep on the couch. And I knew and I felt that something had shifted when I had been away, because she wasn't returning my calls, and I could just feel the energy was off. And it was the next day that, sitting on the same couch, where she told me she was no longer in love with me. And then it was 2 days after that she had moved out. And then
Wow.
in an instant, this whole vision and path that we were on was gone.
Yeah, that's quite a traumatic event, especially when it happens so quickly, and you feel blindsided. Is that when you started writing, or had you been writing before that?
That was the exact moment I started writing, and I have no idea what pulled me to do it. I had never journaled or written in that form before. I'm an engineer, so I write lots of reports. They're very structured, but my mind had never thought like that. But it was in that very moment, after she told me that she no longer loved me, that I went into the bedroom. My dad had always been giving me these journals over and over, and I'm like, "Thanks, Dad," and just filing them into the closet. But it was the first instinct I had, because I had all these thoughts going through my head, and all this pain and all this emotion, and I had to remember it, because I really wanted to figure out, as an engineer, what was going on, but mostly how to never get back in this same place of pain again.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And so you started journaling. You're journaling. How long were you journaling before all of a sudden you thought, maybe this is a book? Or how did the book idea even come out?
The book idea sort of came out instantly. This transformation, this because I had all of a sudden had this blank canvas, where before I had career and job and house and kids on it. All of a sudden it was blank. So I had all this space, and the space was filled with pain. But I also wanted to pull in some other aspects of how to move forward. But the new thoughts and awareness and emotion that I was feeling was so extreme. I had always been sort of existing in this state of not very extreme emotions, let's just say, but this pain was just something that unlocked something so severe so quickly. And I remember, and I write about this in the book, I write about the whole process of writing actually in the book. I remember one of those early dinners I had with my friend who's a journalist. I'm like, I said to her, you have to write about this. You have to write about what's going on with me. And of course she just looked at me and with kind of a pitiful look and shook her head. But that was instantaneous. It would be about 6 months later where I realized that no one else was going to do the writing for me. I had what it takes, and I really needed to share all the lessons that I'd continued to learn during that time.
Yeah. And so this book was sprung from those journals, is that correct?
Absolutely. I took, so about 6 months later, I took this stack of journals that I had. I took some time off work. I headed down to Central America on this Eat, Pray, Love. I think it was, eat. It was called a Eat, Pray, Surf kind of trip. It was a Eat, Pray, Surf, Right journey. It was a personal wellness journey. So for 2.5 months, I was in Nicaragua and Costa Rica surfing and meditating. But I was also going through these really painful moments and memories from the past half year, and doing the first draft of the manuscript.
Right. So lots of soul searching.
Yeah, it was great, obviously, to get that little bit of closure. I don't think anything got closed or healed or instantaneously, but it was really good to have that means and method to go through. I mean, each day I would really do whatever it took to get myself in that state to focus for 2 to 3 hours and just do what Stephen King recommends is write 1,000 words each and every day. And I was writing them by hand into new journals. So I'd be writing on these beautiful tropical beaches or hiding in the shade under a tree. It was really a surreal moment. And this part I actually write about towards the end of the book, where it was kind of all coming together.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. Michael, so from journal to book, so tell me a little bit about the book itself. Like what, one thing is to journal your ideas. The other thing is to write a book for other people, to support other people. So tell me a little bit about that. What is the book about in terms of, how it's for, moves past your own journey and moves into the realm of other people can learn and get help from this?
Yeah, one thing I had to learn in this writing journey, and it was a 2.5-year journey to create something that I was proud enough to put out there, but I had to get more clear on who I was speaking to and what lessons I was distilling within each chapter. So the chapters are each really has one theme that I speak to, because as writers, we have to make it very clear in our reader's mind what's going on with the story, but what is the lesson that they are getting. And I had to do a lot of work to really synthesize my writing and make it very, very clear. And I love doing the storytelling and talking about the ski adventures and the surf adventures and walking outside here in British Columbia where it's so beautiful, and then also connecting with new humans and hearing their stories. So I love doing the narrative of the storytelling, but I also have to make it very clear what lesson I am learning, and you have to make the writing valuable for the reader.
Absolutely. So very quickly, can you break down the title for us?
Yeah, the title is Satori Ananda. So Satori is Japanese. It means flash of enlightenment. Ananda is Sanskrit. It means the bliss of being. And I pulled these two words out of Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, and I was reading him really 2 months after the separation happened. I was just consuming all this information and all these books, doing anything and everything that I could do to get a better handle on these new thoughts and emotions that I was feeling. And I just loved these two words. They really pulled me in, because while I was feeling a lot of pain and loss and feeling really, really, really alone for the first time in my life, I would have these breakthroughs and these realizations that would give me so much clarity, and I'd feel so good. So that's where the Satori word came from, just the real flash of enlightenment. And then Ananda, I was studying so much and doing, again, everything I could to find a level of peace and happiness again. So I'd spend a lot of time running outside or doing backcountry ski trips, and it it was during these moments, this real connection with nature, when I really felt this bliss.
Nice. Well, I think the two words go well together. I really like the title. So if I went into a bookstore and I picked up the book and I looked at the cover and I read the inside flap and the back and I flipped through it, I'm making a decision, like on the spot, am I going to buy this book? And the question I often ask myself, or I think people ask themselves, is what is the promise being made? So I'm going to ask you, what is the promise you're making to readers with this book?
Yeah, the promise is really for anyone who is struggling with feeling lost or feeling alone or breakup or breakdown, whatever huge transition you're going through in your life. The promise is that you're going to get tangible things that you can do, and you're going to get an example of how someone else really just kept going and kept moving on, and at the same time see how you can do that soul searching for what you want to create going forward. So you're going to get something that's really a guide to help you out of a dark place and move into the light.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So there are a lot of, it's a memoir, but there are also lessons in there. And I know we've talked about this previously about, do we make the lessons explicit or implicit? Can you tell us about the decision you made and why you made that decision for this book?
Yeah, I had to ignore a lot of feedback in the writing of this book, which was hard because this is my first book and I'd never written before. But a lot of the feedback that I was getting was that you need to have these tangible steps at the end of each chapter, and a workbook and a this and a that, and it needs to tie to your public speaking and the coaching I was doing at the time, and people are like, this is a business book. This is how you do that. And I'm like, I hear you, but I don't feel it. I really wanted this to be, kind of more like The Alchemist, just a real story, really something enjoyable to read where you can pick it up. And this is what people are doing now. They're reading it within a day or two because it pulls them in with the story, and they sometimes perhaps don't even realize they're getting the lessons, but the lessons are in there as well. And that to me, that's the type of book that I love, and I know that I wanted to recreate something similar.
Yeah, and there's something about trusting your readers to get what they need from it. Right?
Absolutely, and within that you have to understand that you're not writing a book for everyone. Not everyone's going to love the book, and you have to be okay with that. And not everyone's going to love the title. Even with the title, everybody told me to change the title because nobody knows what those words mean. And I thought about it actually when I was away earlier this year. I had this real intention to get clear on what the title should be. This was right before we're getting into the final stages, and I was coming up with all these other random titles. But I came back to what I had known all along. I mean, I had those two words tattooed on my side soon after I first read them, so it would be strange to deviate from them. But again, you just have to go with your heart and, like you said, connect with who your readers are.
Yeah, exactly. So you ignored the advice about kind of having lessons really clearly laid out at the end of chapters and workbooks and having courses on top of that, which can be, if it's a business book, that can be great. But if it's a memoir, more like The Alchemist, and the lessons are more subtle, then that's another way to do it, and equally viable way to do it. You ignored the naming of the book. People wanted you to name it something more.
A man's transformational journey or something.
Yes. Okay. Like yeah. So you wanted something that was interesting and provoked curiosity.
Yes.
Right. And so what other advice did you ignore, and why?
Those were really the main ones. Maybe I should highlight all the advice that I did take, because this was a first time journey for writing this, and I had to learn the whole process. I mean, I went through 3 different groups of editors, and I guess some of the I definitely ignored a lot of the advice I got within them, but I also took in a lot of information. And they specifically, the second group I worked with really helped me learn how to write, because I had to really transition from my technical writing into something that was going to make sense for for the reader. And just that piece alone, understanding the roles of editors and how there's so many different editors and how you need different editors at different stages of the journey and how they have different names. And so I think the biggest thing was that the editor doesn't, for the most part, until you get to the very end, the editor doesn't do the work. You do the work. And that was something I had to learn.
Yeah, that's a great lesson. Do you have, so that if I asked you for 3 top lessons and that was one of them, do you have 2 more that you might share?
2 more that I might share would be a lesson. Perhaps one would be you have no idea how long it's going to take, or just be patient. Perhaps I thought this was going to be a 4-month project. It turned into 2.5 years. Another lesson would just be humble. And for me, when I talk to folks that are thinking about writing a book, I'm like, what is the point? Why do you want to do it? And like, what are your intentions? Like, for me, I wanted to write a really, really good book that's gonna take legs of its own and keep dancing. But for others, that doesn't make sense. They just want to get a quick business book out there and just to say they have one. You can do that a lot quicker. So you have to get really, really clear on why you're writing the book and how much energy and effort and money you want to put into it.
That is really good advice, Michael. I think a lot of people just jump in feet first and don't kind of sit back and kind of look at their intention and why they're doing it and making a plan based on that. I only have so much time. This is the outcome I want. This is the level of quality I want. I think that's a really, really good bit of advice. Thank you. So where can we find you and where can we find the book if people want to get in touch?
Yeah, and again, grateful for this time and to be introduced to your community and your people. You can find, pretty easy to find on the internet. Just put in Michael Tramner and you'll go to my website, or I spend a bunch of time on Instagram, michael.tramner, or on Facebook. And to find the book, easiest is to go to my website, and then that'll take you on to Amazon.
Okay, and I will put all of those links in the description of the video. So if anyone's interested, you don't even have to Google it. It will be in the description for you, just to make your life easier. Michael, do you have a bit of the book you'd like to read to us? I'd love to hear a little bit.
I'd love to.
Excellent.
I'd love to. It's my favorite part. All right, everyone settle in. Everyone settle in. I've got a short bit that I'm going to read. So this is actually in chapter 2, right early on, about a couple weeks after the separation, and it was November, and it's in Vancouver, and things are dark and rainy and stormy, and there's just so much emotion going on. And the piece I'm going to read is actually the first time I went to see my wife, and we needed to kind of talk about a few things. And it'd been a few weeks, but we decided, we had been texting back and forth and it was completely useless. So we're like, we need to meet in person. And I had, of course, been going through all these changes, and so much had been going on with me during this short period of time. But this is when we first met again for the first time. My mind is blown. You're so different, she said with a look of shock. She was used to the old Mike, the Mike that would sleepily stare at the hockey game to avoid all conversation. Instead, I kept all my attention on her, to see her tears, to feel her pain. I was there to understand why she left, something she herself was still coming to terms with. By being fully present and not reacting in anger, I created a safe space for her to speak her mind. As much as it hurt to hear her words, they needed to be spoken. At the same time, I wondered if I was just suppressing my pain, my anger. Was I trying to prove to her that I could be the partner that she wanted? Someone who could listen and not react in anger? Was I subconsciously tormenting her by showing the transformed me that she was missing out on? Sitting in the booth, I realized that one of the reasons we never really talked was because I never really listened. Or if I disagreed with her, I would get defensive and react in anger. 2 ways to immediately shut down any connection.
Nice. Thank you, Michael. That was very insightful. I think that is something that many people reading could very easily relate to.
Very welcome.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for watching the video. If this video has helped you, give it a thumbs up. Please leave me a comment and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, Michael, for coming in. I really appreciated hearing your thoughts today and learning more about your book and about you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Melody.
Thanks.